It's Cowboy Joe Boo here with the Joe Boo Report. And as always, thank you for subscribing and being part of the Joe Boo Report. Man, happy days are here again. Stephen A. Smith is back to being an ass. Let's go to the tape. They're talking about Dak Prescott and Tony Romo.
To have in my mind, and I'm so proud because every time Dak takes a snap, I see our future getting stronger. I see the encouragement that his future brings to this team. I see what he's doing right now, his presence on that particular series or that particular down. All of that is there, and then I look over there, and in my mind, someone that is very capable of winning it all.
So normally we say if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. But of course, this instance is very different, Max, and in Jerry's world as well. Do you agree with him that this is a miracle problem to have?
First, let me say, because we're on the subject of the Cowboys, I said a couple segments ago that T.O. went from the Cowboys to the Eagles and went to the Super Bowl. Obviously, he was on the Eagles first and then the Cowboys. Second, of course, it's a great problem to have. Of course, it's a miracle problem to have. Most teams don't have a single, not most, many teams are looking for a single good quarterback. And the Cowboys have two, a veteran and a rookie. That's a great problem to have. But let me translate what Jerry Jones is really saying here, Stephen A. Smith. He's saying, Max Kellerman was right. Right? Do you remember what I've been saying this whole time? Romo's job, because Jerry Jones kept saying it's Romo's job, it's Romo's job. I said, yeah, it should be Romo's job, unless Dak Prescott still only has one loss. The Cowboys are still sitting on one loss when Romo's ready to play. Then the history of the NFL has been, it doesn't matter if you're Kurt Warner, who gets you can lose your job to injury. You can win it by injury, and you can lose it by injury. Mark Bulger's the hot hand, even if he's not as good as Kurt Warner on his best day. It's Bulger's team. Warner gets traded ultimately or has to leave St. Louis ultimately. That's the way it works. And what I really see Jerry Jones doing here is softening his position. His position was, when Romo's healthy, it's his job. Oh, but look, we still only have one loss. Well, maybe it's still Dak's job. We have to wait and see. That's what I see Jerry Jones saying here, Stephen A. Smith.
It doesn't matter to me what Jerry Jones is saying. I find them laughable because I find him laughable. And the reason why I find him laughable is because when I think about Jerry Jones, I think about a 73-year-old man that is 3 years removed from acknowledging that the clock is ticking on his life and that he's desperate to win and win now. And then he follows that up by talking about the future and how bright it is. Well, what has happened? What is he, Mork from Mork and Mindy, that show back from decades ago when Robin Williams, the late great Robin Williams, the comedian, God rest his soul, used to sit up there and used to get younger as opposed to older? Who is that now? Jerry Jones? No, last time I checked, he's still getting older and older. And the Dallas Cowboys would need to understand that the clock is ticking. Do I think they're getting closer? Yes. I can't deny the fact that they're formidable. When you're led by two rookies who are playing outstanding football and you've got an elite offensive line, the best in football, there is no question that there's a tremendous upside and this team should be a contender for years and years to come. But Jerry Jones is still there. And what he's essentially saying to you, Max, is that he's the guy that can mess everything up. When I think about Jerry Jones, the owner, the president, the general manager for the Dallas Cowboys, just looking at his record here, his stellar record, I mean, he's 234 and 203. He's made the playoffs 13 times in 28 years. This is the Jerry Jones that we're talking about here, with a 14-10 record, who hasn't won a playoff, he's won 2 playoff games in 20 years. So when he sits up there and talks about the future being so bright, acting like he's got time, instead of appreciating the urgency of the moment, understanding that Dak Prescott is balling in such a fashion that it is a chemistry you may not want to disrupt, and somehow, some way, just days removed from sitting there and saying that Tony Romo is getting healthy and Tony Romo, when he can play, it's his job and that's it, case closed, to now talking about it's a miracle situation for him or anybody else to be in, it just shows me what the problem with the Dallas Cowboys is. They need an owner, a president, and a GM who knows how to be that and not try to be the coach. And that's not the case with Jerry Jones.
Well, Jerry
That
Jones,
is where your problem lies.
Jerry Jones, I think, learned recently that he couldn't exploit his wealth in a league with a hard cap He couldn't exploit loopholes in the rules as he did with the Deion Sanders signing decades ago at this point, when he helps lead the charge for a salary cap and then gets around it.
He's just realizing that?
And then, gets around it with the bonus structure and the way that prorates the bonus.
And that just happened? And that just happened?
Yeah. Yep. Eventually what happened was, and we've seen it in the last several years, is he's now trying to cash in, it looks a little bit to me, on his wisdom, on the fact that he's been around the game, and he finally realized a couple of years ago that he ain't good enough as a GM. He needs help, and he ceded control largely, or a big chunk of it, to Stephen Jones, who's made much sounder football decisions over the last several years than Jerry Jones had in the previous years, and I think now the Cowboys are reaping those rewards.
As it particularly, I'm not talking about his marketing brilliance, his business acumen, because that's not to be questioned. But strictly as it pertains to football, I just want to make sure I'm clear. Did you mention wisdom and Jerry Jones in the same sentence? Did you just do that?
Yes, but sometimes the wisdom is knowing, Stephen A., sometimes the wisdom is knowing what you don't know.
Oh,
and he finally figured out that
really?
he's not a good enough GM to do it by himself.
He's figured out what he doesn't know, huh?
Yep.
Jerry Jones, you willing to put your money on that? That Jerry Jones has figured out what he doesn't know.
I'm not putting my money on it.
Really?
I'm not putting my money on it.
So
But
you
I
just
finally-
talking.
but
You
I-
just
but I
talking.
finally-
That's all it is.
No.
Jerry
But
Jones and
finally
wisdom.
I finally see
Please.
some signs of maturity from the septuagenarian, starting with Stephen Jones being allowed essentially to assert himself and saying things like,
what was that? Was that septuagenarian? Is that the word you used?
yeah, 70-year-old.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure. Another word I haven't heard on first thing.
I'm
my
jealous of
dictionary.
your
No, I got
vocabulary.
that. Just want to make sure. Okay. Okay, I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure.
The point is, remember when he wanted Johnny Manziel? And by the way, you don't even have to know that. Everyone just knows knowing Jerry Jones. Johnny Manziel's
You and I
available.
both know.
He had to
it
be
was
drooling.
the alcohol. It was rumors of other issues why Jerry Jones was dissuaded.
No, it's because Stephen Jones put his
wasn't
body
about
in front of it and drafted an offensive lineman who's worked out a little good.
And I'm telling you,
say?
it wouldn't have happened if Johnny Manziel was coming out of Texas A&M clean. Jerry Jones would have overruled his son. That's what I'm saying.
Stephen Jones has been running the show much, much more in recent years than he ever had, and maybe more than Jerry. And it's paying dividends for them now.
Really? It's paying dividends?
Yeah.
Now? Oh, now. Oh, okay, good. Not the last 20 years. Okay, I just want to make sure.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? One good season in the last decade.
The Stephen Jones increase in control is not that old. It's over the last several years. That's how long it takes to put a team together. And apparently they've been put together.
Like I said, you're very understanding. With you, no one gets fired. I mean, everybody have a job in the perpetuity because after all, it takes time. It takes time. Everything takes time. Coordinators, coaches, players, everything takes time in the world of Max Kellerman.
Yeah.
Everybody will have a job.
Stephen A. Smith,
everybody
no
will have
one
a job.
would
I'll
be
give you
employed.
that.
You fire everybody.
You're right. You're right. I damn sure would.
He
I
runs a
damn
tight
sure
ship.
would. I ain't be the first to tell you.
All right. You know who might have more issues?